Hello y'all, I am back again for another video, and this video is going to be about preventing ensnarement. Like HG Tutor says, a lot of times you get ensnared by narcissists, and y'all also get ensnared by empaths, narcissistic people. Rarely a normal really wants to ensnare anybody. However, you can get ensnared. And so I am going to talk about my real life situations and how I prevent ensnarement. And it's very important that you listen, understand, and implement some of these tips in your life so that you are not ensnared through money. And this is what I mean by being ensnared through money, y'all. And I'm standing up on purpose. This is part of my exercise regimen, is for me to stand, not just be on the exercise bike. I've been finding that when I stand, y'all, some of this weight is going more down. Because what happens is when you're sitting and eating, I tried this for 2 weeks, y'all. When you're sitting and eating, everything just goes in the midsection for some people. However, since I've been standing more, even when I'm hydrating or eating, it's helping me to lose some pounds and some calories, and more of the weight is starting to go more like to the hip, buttocks, and thighs and things like that. So yeah, so it just makes this weight here that was a lot more go downward, y'all. So when your weight goes downward, it will make this part look better. Okay, so that's what you want to keep in mind. So I just want to stand, y'all. I be on my exercise bike, so I'm just going to stand today. Just try something different. That's what I feel like doing, and so that's what I'm going to do. So preventing ensnarement. One way you prevent ensnarement is by remembering the past. Remembering how it felt when it happened the first time. And paying attention to how it feels now. So, money, y'all. I ain't saying you shouldn't have it, but you got to understand, the first thing is this: somebody else's money, it's their money. You shouldn't be necessarily getting ensnared by somebody else's money. You just shouldn't. It's somebody else's money. So you got to understand the boundary with that. Yes, they may be offering it to you. They may be trying to entice you with it. They may be trying to ensnare you with their money, but it's their money. Okay? You got to keep this in mind. So I talked about this before about my grandmother. She raised me in a restaurant, and she never worked for anybody but herself. Okay, that's a very blessed situation to be in for her and for the people that she's around as far as the financial aspect. However, what my grandmother did, I feel unintentionally, y'all, there was a lot of neglect that went along with that. Okay, so this is going to be the blunt of it. When you get in your teen years and things like that, I'll give an example. Like, I was out with my son yesterday. So he's a teenager. So these are the years where they remember a lot, y'all. Now, I don't have the money that my grandmother had. I don't necessarily want it if I'm not able to control all the problems that come with the money. So, with that being said, we went out to eat. I went a little bit overboard. It was just two of us, y'all. The bill came to $90. I left a $10 tip, $100 bill. Okay, we did it. Okay, we still got a little money left after we paid the bill. So that's fine. But the memories, the quality time, I may not have the money to buy all the things that my grandmother did, but the quality time that comes with money, or the quality time that should be there, not because of money. I apologize for that. Quality time is very essential and important. Okay. So there's this gentleman. Okay. And see, y'all focus too much on if they are narcissists, if they are empath, if they're narcissistic, is he or she a normal? You focus on too much. You don't want to be screwed over by nobody. Okay, so preventing ensnarement. This was a gentleman that he bought a house several years ago. I felt like he was doing something called triangulation. Okay, so you got to remember, once you know what these terms are, you got to be very careful. So he was inviting myself and another lady to go participate in his final sale of his house. I forgot the name of it. It's not a housewarming, y'all. If you bought a house, I've owned a house many years ago, but that's what it was. So he invited me to this I got a new rug, y'all. So if I seem a little tilted, that's why. So he invited me to this his final sale or whatever of his home. So I refused to go because I felt like he was doing something called triangulation. Okay. And I felt like it was me and another lady. It was obvious that she liked him. She was picking out the stuff to go in his home, countertops and things similar to that. So they were going shopping, and I could really tell that this sister liked him. Okay. And so I didn't want to be involved in the drama. She's picking out your stuff, this, and that. I've known this gentleman for many, many years. So never slept together, nothing intimate or anything like that. But I met him many, many years ago when I was in downtown in the big city where I live now on the West Coast. And I was at work on a lunch break, or I might have gotten off of work. But I remember I was at work. I was either going back to work or leaving, something to that degree. My mom had just passed and things like that. So there were some vulnerabilities. So he ended up meeting someone else and I met someone else. So we didn't end up dating or anything like that. Just we kept in contact on and off throughout the years. He was always the type of gentleman that if we were out to eat, he paid for it. Very giving gentleman. Okay, but this is about being ensnared by money, y'all. Okay, and so this is the thing. It leads to a lot of abuse. And so the reason it happens again is because you didn't not forget, you didn't remember how it felt the first time it happened. So with me, I remember my grandmother, I love her dearly, but I remember the neglect. I remember the waking up at 6 in the morning, she working till midnight. I remember how she slept in this chair. I never woke her up, y'all. I just knew not to wake my grandmother up out of that chair. I'm very grateful for how she always paid someone to do something that she didn't have time to do for us, myself and my sister. There was people that just helped for free. Some were blood relatives, some were not blood relatives. So I appreciate all of those things. However, neglect is neglect. I still witnessed on some level the worshiping in money. I knew that that money came before me. And it's not because she needed it necessarily to take care of me. Y'all got to remember this, y'all. People that have a lot of money or plenty of it, they had that money before they met you, usually. Okay, or before you were born. My grandmother already had her restaurant or her business before I was born in St. Louis, Missouri, where I was born. So that money, that was for my grandmother. Okay, you got to really keep that in mind to understand the addiction. It's hers. Now, I happened to be born and I ended up moving with my grandmother, so I benefited from her money. But you got to understand, when people are addicted to money and they're neglecting people around them, neglect can be as simple as this, or it can go on different spectrums. Treating the customers really kind, but then when you are off work, not being friendly, not being kind in the same way that you are to your customers, looking at me like I don't matter, or just ignoring me completely. Because I'm not her customer, I'm not paying her, right? See, this goes into the addiction and the personality of addiction. It ain't no different than a drug. It just ain't. It's no different. It's an addiction. You making something else your God, and it ain't your God. And people remember and suffer the consequences of it. So the reason you're ensnared again in the same way is because you forget the first experience. Okay. So, of course, lo and behold, ain't the Lord gonna send me the same type of demonic energy back? And when I say demonic energy, I don't mean my grandmother. That's a demonic energy on her to become addicted to anything, whether you're addicted to drugs, sex, money, or whatever. So the same energy has to come back, right? So it comes back through my friend. So because I would not participate in the triangulation, because I don't think I had my channel yet. I was studying on narcissism and different things like that, but I went off my instinct. My instinct told me, don't go to his house. Big, beautiful home. I seen pictures of it on Facebook and all of that. And so he was inviting me and another friend. Now, come to find out, that particular lady that I felt like he was triangulating me with, beautiful chocolate sister, okay? Kind-hearted chocolate sister, got a little temperament, on some level. She's really into political stuff and stuff like that. Oh, and by the way, he claims that he don't prefer chocolate women. That's another thing too. Chocolate, when I say chocolate, I'm not talking about you caramel complected, fair complected, light skin. I'm talking about you the color of a Hershey chocolate bar or darker. You have the most beautiful complexion in the entire universe. You were born like my mother, chocolate. However, a lot of men, because I'm not as brown as my mother, they try to ensnare me by talking about dark complected, beautiful women. And I do not allow them to ensnare me. And this is why. You don't like what's brown. You don't like what's the color of a Hershey chocolate bar or even dark chocolate. You don't like my ass, because that's the womb that I came out of. And that's what a lot of light-skinned women, whatever you want to call yourself, beige, caramel complected, that's one thing that y'all will never understand. And then you get ensnared in these situations, light to caramel complected. I'm specifically talking about those complexions, because someone that is considered caramel complected, sometimes they will call y'all red bone too. Just like they'll call me that derogatory ass word, red bone. I ain't nobody's freaking bone. Never have been. I can't stand that term. You get in these situations and he tells you right up front. And then the worst thing is when he's brown himself. He's the color of a Hershey chocolate bar or the color of dark chocolate. And he's telling you he don't like chocolate women, like they all ugly and they the most beautiful women. A chocolate woman can top me any day. Just any day. That's just my honest to God opinion on the beauty. And I'm going to tell you another thing. Chocolate women have always complimented my skin. And you know what I tell them? It come from the dark-skinned people in Alabama. They gave me my skin. I just came out a little bit lighter. They gave me this nice, thick, beautiful skin that I work really hard to take care of. And I'm going to say it's beautiful because that's what the chocolate people and the chocolate women and a few men have told me. So, with that being said, light skinned women that come from chocolate women per se, you need to start giving credit where credit is due. So when it's a brown man telling you he don't like chocolate women, he don't like your ass neither if you light skinned. He don't like chocolate women, and he don't like what come from chocolate. He don't like you. Okay? He's not looking at you like no freaking biracial. He's talking to you like he's making an assumption that everybody that's light-skinned come from another light-skinned wound, and that's just not the case. So keep in mind, you could experience abuse because he doesn't like himself. He wake up in the morning, every morning, chocolate or dark chocolate, some almost black, but they're still brown. They're just a very, very dark brown. He don't like you neither. So this is the type of thing that's going on with this gentleman. So he's trying to ensnare me. Okay. It's not working. So now he's just text only. He's busy at work. And guess what? He tried to ensnare me through money, y'all. He sent me a copy of his $12,000 check. Net pay, y'all. This is what he sent me a copy of. He had blocked me for at least minimum of 2 years, 2.5 years, something like that. So he had me on block from Messenger and Facebook because I refused to attend the event for the final sale of his house. I refused to go because I wasn't going to allow myself to be triangulated. I'm happy in my situation right now, y'all. So this particular man, he worked 7 days a week. So did my grandmother. This man at this point has no time and is not interested in doing anything outside of sleeping and making his money so he can keep bringing in these $12,000 checks. No different than my grandmother. So he sent me the $12,000 copy of a check. And also, because I couldn't see it in my phone, he sent it to the messenger. And then he wanted to know if he could send it to my email. No. Another thing, email communication, y'all, should not be with your personal friendships. Me and this gentleman have no business ties. We have zero business ties, so he don't need my email. He's not my blood relative. And it doesn't matter that he shared his personal check with me. He also should not be doing that. However, his personal check will not go any further than my device. And I most likely will delete it. There's no need for me to have this man's personal check in my messenger. And it wasn't wise of him to send it. However, I'm not going to do any fraud on him. I'm not going to report him. I wouldn't call his job. I'm just not that type of person. It's nothing I'm going to do with his check other than tell him that's good. You have plenty of money to provide for yourself. So he has this big house. I think it's a minimum 5 bedrooms, garages, and all of this. Mortgage over $4,000. I'm just not interested in that level of debt, y'all. Now he's got another rental property. I will not repeat my childhood. I don't care if he got Bill Gates money. And that's the problem. You get ensnared because you forget how it felt. On an average, I may keep about $1,000 on hand. $2,000 if it's not time for the next bill to be paid. So on an average, I may have on hand, I would say at the highest about $3,000. Okay. But just in general, just right on hand on a everyday basic level about 1,000. And I used to didn't have that, y'all. That's how much debt, that's how many car payments, vehicle payments, that's how much auto insurance, high rent, high mortgages, furniture payments, high cell phone bills. That's how much of a bad situation I was in. I used to have $5 on hand, $100 on hand. So I'm coming to a better situation over time. And I would like to save more. However, I am not going to be ensnared and pulled in through the manipulation of money. So he says, well, he wants somebody, he doesn't have anybody to spend it on. So he would like someone to spend it on. Okay, on the West Coast, it's homeless people laying all up and down the street. Women, men, and periodically you see some kids out there, like literally on the sidewalk. I witnessed an entire family on the sidewalk. And the please help my family sign, it ain't fake. They really laying out there. That sign be up during the day. They're trying to ask for donations. You come back and pass them at night. They laying out there like literally sleeping on one of the main streets on the West Coast. So the thing is, y'all, is this. So he was in no contact with me because he was upset with me for 2.5 years because I refused to go to his home sale. Now, the other chocolate woman that was there, she did like him. She made a pass at him, according to him. And guess what? He made her leave his home. Okay? So this, remember, he said he don't like chocolate women. He said he don't like a Hershey chocolate candy bar. Okay? That's my favorite candy too, y'all. He don't like dark. And remember, my mindset, he don't like dark, he don't like me. Okay? How do I react to the situation? I've been, throughout my life, chocolate men always try to ensnare me by talking about beautiful, dark complected chocolate women. They just do. They've always done it, and it just don't work. It's so fucking disrespectful. If you know a woman is black, you might want to find out what color her mama is. You just might want to find that out before you just start talking about a bunch of dark-skinned people like they not shit. Okay? So what's more alarming is for him to be chocolate himself and have basically a disdain for chocolate women. He like the same color, if not darker, right? And they're not just saying it's not their preference. It's deeper than that. It's the tone and the way he's saying it. And okay, my mother's passed away, but what if she was alive and he went to meet her? Deep inside his heart and mind, he's looking at my mom like she less than. And she ain't less than. She just not. So remember, if they don't like chocolate women and dark-skinned women, and that's what you come from, they don't like you. Know that ahead of time before you get your eye black and get your ass beat messing with these demons. So he had a doctor's appointment yesterday, y'all. So he was mentioning, like this was going to be like this big celebration because he had this doctor's appointment. I was not able to go because I had work activities that I had to do. So I wasn't able to go. So he sent me, I think, the $12,000 net pay check the morning of his appointment yesterday. Okay, so I know I'm not showing up. I'm going to do the same thing I did when I didn't show up at the house. Okay, it's a reason why the Lord didn't have me go to his house in the first place. I'll give you another story, just so you can understand the mindset of this gentleman. He, we were, oh, it was right around the time Kobe Bryant, had passed away and all of that, when he was going to be buying his home, looking for his home, and going through the process. So he also mentioned he didn't understand why Vanessa Bryant was suing because of the simple fact, why would she sue when she has so much money, in his words? See, we going back to the look at how he views money, y'all. Now, Vanessa Bryant, to sum it up, her lawsuit is based on the fact that she feels like, and I agree with her, that they shouldn't have had her husband and her daughter on that helicopter because the weather conditions were already bad, and the pilot could have chose to not take them up there and get everybody killed, including Kobe Bryant and his daughter and all the other victims that were victimized. So she's suing. She has four daughters, or had, because one is deceased, and then she has her husband. So she has a family of six. And I think at that time her mom might have been living with them. So she has a household of at least 6 to 7 people, four of them being all her daughters, and then her husband and her mom. So her husband and daughter goes up in the helicopter. They don't come home. So now her household size, 2 human beings that she loves, are missing now. They're dead. They've been killed because this pilot wants to just take them up there anyway. So she's suing. So this particular gentleman that's trying to ensnare me, he mentioned to me over the phone, he said, well, I don't know why she's suing because she has all the money that she has. And I told him this. I said, look, sir, it's like this. Lawsuits ain't based on how much money you got. Lawsuits are based on if you was wronged or not. That's what a lawsuit is based on. It ain't got nothing to do when you go to court and you've been wrong. They don't say, well, by the way, before we file this lawsuit, we want to know how much money you got in your account, because if you got $80 million in your account already, you can't sue Mr. or Miss. That's not how that works. So already I was picking up signs of lack of empathy. Just lack of empathy. Now, remember, he's been in no contact with me for 2 to 2.5 years. We'll say 3 at the most, right around when the Kobe Bryant situation happened, where him and his beautiful daughter passed away. May they rest in peace, along with other people on the airplane. So with this being said, he sends me the paycheck yesterday. And this is why a lot of people get in a lot of problems and situations, because the person that's trying to ensnare you, they want you to react a certain way just because they've made you aware of the money. So what is he looking for? Well, I'm testing her. I'm going to see if she's going to show up at my doctor's appointment. I didn't go, just like I didn't go to the home thing. Because this is the thing with people with their money, y'all. Ain't nothing else there. Okay? When I tell you, when somebody is addicted to money, praising it, and it becomes their God, ain't nothing else there. You dealing with a soulless individual. They losing their soul. They losing their health. These were all the things that I watched my grandmother go through. I watched her bring in more money, but I also watched her accumulate more medications. I watched her accumulate more sleep disorders, medications. Everything was just so off balance, even within my grandmother's body. Okay? And there was a lot back then that we just didn't know about high blood pressure. Like, a lot of people probably didn't even know weight was a contributor. Okay? And weight. If it say you obese, y'all, you obese. That's the bottom line. I don't care how good you think you look. If you go to one of these machines and you key in your birth date and your height, it's gonna give you an analogy. So y'all, I got about, I think to get out of that range or something, I need to at least lose. I lost 18 pounds, but I need to lose probably at least another 15 to be on the safe side. So you're burning off calories just when you stand up, y'all. You're burning off calories just from standing. Okay. And let me get my water here. I'm gonna get my water here, y'all. So yeah, you burning off calories. So the thing is, so what happened? Because I'm preventing ensnarement. He noticed that I didn't show up. He mentioned to me that he fell asleep at the appointment at the doctor's office. Keep in mind, he's at this doctor's office because it's an injury that he's received and sustained. The injury happened on his job. I told him years ago, I said, you're in a domestic violence situation with your job. Okay. Because he went through the years and the cycle that he's went through with approximately every 3 years, there's a major injury. And these injuries, he has ongoing problems with it. One injury is in his knee. So he went to sleep in the doctor's office, and the doctor had to come wake him up, y'all. The doctor came and waked him up. So it's all a repeat of my grandma, y'all. I mean, so the thing is, preventing ensnarement, you gotta not forget the first situation. Don't forget the first situation. Even if it was in your childhood, you gotta remember the first situation. So, how do I do it? Because a lot of y'all probably like $12,000, girl. You just said you only got about 1,000 or 3,000 at a time. So, you foolish girl. You ain't no teenager or young spring chicken. Why don't you take him up on his offer? He got a big house. This is the thing, y'all. When people are addicted or overly attached to their money, you have their money if they're willing to have enough empathy to share it. But you will never have the person. The memories that I'm accumulating with my teenage son, going out to eat, we going out, hanging out, we talking on the phone, we doing quality time things, dancing together in the house, doing videos and things like that, posting on Facebook, eating together, the quality time, going to the movies, doing recordings when it's a prom and stuff like that. I didn't have those teenage memories with my grandmother because of her addiction. So remember this, when you're ensnared due to their money, you got their money, but you never have the person. Because remember, they have an addiction. It's just like if you living with somebody and they're addicted to heroin. They're out shooting up heroin and they're never really at home unless they just dropping in to abuse and steal and rape, and some of them can go that far. I'm not saying all heroin addicts do that, but these are the things that can go on. Even with some alcoholics, whatever drug they're on, whatever they on, these are the things that can be going on. So you have the money, but you never have the person. And then you're reliving your narcissistic past. You just are. It didn't feel good watching my grandmother count her money. It didn't feel good always being with somebody else that was giving quality time to me when I actually wanted it with her. It didn't feel good when at the end of the day, we still end up broke and none of this money is left to us anyway because it's not budgeted properly, and the Lord takes it and punishes my grandmother and removes it all, and she ends up passing away in an impoverished situation. Okay, so none of that feels good, and I'm not going to do my past. My grandmother was also a dark complected lady, dark chocolate, and I'm not going to relive that. Okay. And I'm not going to get ensnared by anyone that inherently does not like the wounds that I came from, or the wound that I came from. I say wounds because I come from a trail of dark complected people. So you got to understand what dislike is. You still look like them. You still got their skin. It just may not be as dark. You still got their kinky hair, their nappy hair. You still are an image of them. You still got their facial features. You still got their smile. You still may have their dimples, their ears, their breasts, their body parts, their hips, their butt, their legs. You still got all of that. Do not date men that are chocolate and they talking about chocolate women like there's something gross. Something is mentally wrong with that man. You're going to be abused. So this is how I'm not being ensnared. You can't ensnare me because I'm not showing up for it. You sent me the $12,000 net pay check. You know what my grandmother probably would say? She would say, Rainey, that's a small check. You see the addiction level? She probably would say, well, why isn't his check $20,000? She may actually devalue the check or suggest that I pull him in because he has such a decent check. Don't get me wrong, it's a good amount of money. He's offering a lot. He wants me and my family to move in his house. That's what people say. People can say anything. They say they want to marry you. This is the type of stuff he's saying. But check this out. I didn't go to that house. When he hoovered me back in just recently, we talked on the phone for numerous hours. I wasn't infatuated with that $12,000 net pay check. I didn't show up at that doctor's appointment. But guess what? His doctor was subjected to discomfort because the doctor had to go out and wake him up. He couldn't even get him up. This is what this potential gentleman said. It's very narcissistic. See, I'm not going to call him a narcissist. You don't need to be ensnared by even an empath. My grandmother could have been an empath, narcissistic. She could have been actually a whole empath because she loved giving the money out. But she did not love in my teenage years, in my youth, giving her time out. She gave a lot of time out. She used to fly me out of town with her and stuff like that. It's a lot of relatives that remember me because my grandmother used to take me with her. But when the addiction to the money escalates, those activities stop. So basically, my role was to watch my grandmother addiction, watch her make money to help take care of us. I appreciate her for teaching me through setting a role model of independence, letting me know the importance of making money because you need to make it to survive and live for your children and family members also. I appreciate that, but I can't forget that experience, and I'm not going to relive it through another marriage. And what is this man's spiritual life like? Because I messaged him back. I said, well, that's good. Oh, check this out. He says that one of his goals is to be financially stable. That's his goal. You just showed me a $12,000 net pay check, man. You done met your goal. You have a home. You have a rental home. Your paycheck is bring home $12,000. But he says his goal is to be financially stable. He actually is, but that's how people with addiction talk. That's that addiction talk. You got to understand addiction language. And at the end of the day, You got to pay attention to this. You know why a lot of people are murdered, y'all? And I'm not saying this man would murder me per se. You can murder somebody without putting them in the ground, by stressing them out, driving them crazy. I'm not going to be sitting over in that man 5-bedroom house by myself, because he ain't going to want me to have no side boyfriend. If I say, well, fine, I'm going to sign up for this now, and the man I interact with now that I kind of care about, I want to still date him. I want to marry you. We ain't got to sleep together. You can just give me the money and all the $12,000 checks or more. But then I'm going to need my side dude over here. He's not going to want me to do that. So I'm not signing up for it, because you're going to need your side dude to put in some time with you, give you some loving, and do the stuff that money can't do. And another thing, people with financial addictions, y'all, they will never have what you have that comes with you for free. They can't buy what you already have. My grandmother could never buy this, y'all. It's something that she just could not buy. No matter how much money she counted and had people help her count through that cash register, she couldn't buy my common sense and my ability to understand that the energy of that wasn't right. And I ultimately moved out of Missouri when I was just about 18 years old, 17 to 18 years old. She couldn't buy that. She can't buy that. It's so much stuff that people that have financial addictions, y'all, can't buy. They can't buy the way you can love. And I'm going to tell you another experience. When I was very young, it was a big yellow school bus, and some handsome chocolate boys seen me and thought I was cute and threw out a bunch of money out the school bus window. And, everybody was entertained by it. Even the adults thought, wow. They were saying stuff like, well, you're going to end up with a good husband. I mean, whoever you're going to get with, little girl, is going to be a very giving and good nurtured, good natured man or whatever. But I watched how people, they threw the money out at me. Handsome chocolate boys threw that out of I think I was like in middle school. I hadn't even reached high school yet. I was right around middle school age. And they thought I was cute, had a crush. I was outside. It was a hot summer day. And they threw the money out the window. Guess what, y'all? I was already different at that point, because I didn't go and chase the money. I stood there on the sidewalk and I watched it. I thought it was so crazy. I watched how other people was running to get the bills, running to chase after this money, willing to almost get injured or potentially ran over, y'all. They was like, you're not going to go get the money. It's for you. I never got any of those bills. I never chased it down or none of that. And that is the substance that anybody that's addicted to money, they don't have that. That's a gift, y'all. Money can't buy that. See, I didn't need money to pay me to know not to go get them bills. It was in my nature. I was rejecting the neglect and emotional abuse that was already going on due to my grandmother's priorities and her addiction. You got to have a balanced life. I would prefer to have a man that brings home a $5,000 check net pay that is off 2 to 3 days a week, where he's actually fully empathic and he's going to value the family, spend time with y'all and stuff like that. So that's all I got to say. Don't be ensnared in these situations. I know it's hard, but another reason I'm not going to allow myself to get ensnared, y'all, is because of this. I am happy and content Why am I making such fast moves to go after somebody else's money and I'm actually not unhappy? There's nothing that I need and want for. My bills are paid. My relatives are cared for. What am I searching for? I'm searching for the Lord, not another narcissistic person or an empath or a full-blown narcissist. So this is what I get. He's just texting me now. I didn't grab the bait, y'all. What did I do when he texted? I didn't respond. Stop responding to all these narcissists and people that are trying to bait you in text. When I respond to a good morning text, it's somebody that texts me every blue moon, good morning. They're maybe out of town, and I know for a fact that they're very empathic. Stop responding to narcissists' good morning texts. I did a video many months back on why to stop texting. Stop doing it. I didn't reply to this. He's already starting the emotional abuse, and I haven't even decided, and I'm not getting into that situation. And guess why he said that he's not calling and he's texting good morning? Because he has to work. Same neglect. I already went through this in childhood. I watched it. I can't watch it no more. I watched my beautiful chocolate grandmother work from 6 a.m. in the morning to midnight or longer on many occasions, 7 days a week, 100 days a week. This is what they do because they have the addiction. I don't need it. So to prevent getting ensnared, you can't